Since I was little, my mom and I had a text code. This code saved me twice. When I was a child, my mom was my whole world. When I was 7 years old, my mom discovered my dad was cheating with a coworker. After that, my dad left my mom and me. Because he was leaving her, my dad became furious. He beat my mom. That incident led to my mom getting the house and kicking my dad out of our lives. She was determined to change her life and help other women. So she worked at many women's shelters in similar places. She eventually became a legal advisor and a social worker. She served women and children who were abused. She truly helped people escape domestic violence. She knew that society wasn't always kind to women. She was an amazing woman. She knew that growing up as a girl was already hard, so the two of us secretly came up with some codes to keep me safe. She also had a special rule. If I ever got into trouble, I could call her in a special way or send a text and she would come get me. No questions asked, no punishment. That way, if I was in trouble, I could call her without fear. She said she understood that being a teenager meant making your own decisions. Sometimes those decisions were stupid, but it was part of growing up. My mom's biggest concern was my safety. When I was 11, I went to a friend's house for a sleepover. I didn't feel very comfortable. I wanted to go home, but I didn't want to hurt my friend's feelings. Our code was 2 punctuation marks. If I used 2 punctuation marks at the end, it meant I needed help or I wanted to leave, but I didn't want the people around me to know. "Hey honey, your uncle just called. I might need to come pick you up. Tell your friend you'll have to leave soon." Do I really have to? Yes, pack up your things. That way I didn't lose face. I could blame it on my mom. I actually used this a few times, but not too often. I knew growing up I always had that safety net, even though our neighborhood was pretty safe. It was a small town near a US college city. I was a little older, so most of my friends were kids. My mom was always at the shelters nearby, and most of the kids were pretty easygoing too. I would hang around the shelters too. The women there would talk to me like an adult. That made me feel pretty good, because compared to my mom, I was only about half their age. I didn't hang out with rebellious kids. Before college, I never did anything worth calling stupid. 2 years ago, I started college. I quickly realized just how safe my town was. I graduated early at just 16, but the college I went to was right next to our town, so I could live at home and drive to school. I got drunk a few times, but my friends and I were always careful. We never drove drunk. I went to my first fraternity party. There were lots of drunk people doing exciting things that also made me uncomfortable. Eventually, I found a quiet corner. A few people were resting there. I started talking with a handsome guy. He invited me for a drink. I was a naive, foolish girl back then. I drank it without thinking. About 10 minutes later, I started feeling really sick. I went to the bathroom. I had my phone in my hand. I heard someone knocking on the door. When I tried to text my mom, I could barely see the screen. "I'm on 999th Street. Can I stay out past curfew?" "No, absolutely not. I'm coming to get you right now." My vision was getting blurry. Then that guy managed to open the door and help me out of the bathroom. He checked my phone and saw the message I sent my mom. He sneered and called me a useless baby. He kicked my thigh and left me sitting alone in the hallway. I knew that night my mom had saved me. One of our code rules was if I included an address, it meant it was an emergency. An address meant danger. She made me remember that firmly. Figure out the address, write it down and save it in the phone memo. So before going to the party, I memorized the address. And that night it saved me. She wasn't angry at me for drinking or for going to those dangerous places. She had warned me not to go to such places. Now, she was just worried about me, hoping I was okay. That night she took me to the hospital. The doctor put me on IV fluids and such to help metabolize the drugs. I only remember Mom sitting by my bed, looking relieved but still very worried. I hadn't realized how dangerous that situation could have become, but she knew. Other than that, I don't remember using the code again. After I woke up, she talked to me, telling me that in today's world there are all kinds of dangers young women face. Since then, I've been extra careful. Last month, my mother passed away from heart disease. Her heart had never been good, so she had been saving money to get a pacemaker, but never made it in time. I was devastated. I always thought my mom would always be in my life. a cornerstone that kept me safe and steady. In my eyes, she was not someone who could die. I didn't know what to do, didn't know how to go on after losing this confidant and protector, didn't know how to live with myself. I opened her room door. She wasn't inside. I couldn't help but cry. I knew she would never appear again. I texted her. The phone rang on the table. I looked at it. I wanted to throw it away, but I could never do that, and never will. She loved that phone. She loved the photos and music in it. She loved playing mobile games. At bedtime, she would sit there watching short clips and funny videos for hours. That phone was her source of fun. Then I suddenly had an idea. I remembered the funeral director telling me that I could put things important to her inside the coffin. So I decided to copy all her data and photos onto the computer and then return the phone to her so she could still play games after death and laugh at videos. I thought it was a good idea. That thought took away a bit of my sorrow. I knew it sounded silly. I didn't know if she'd get the signal, but I thought it was nice for her. She always joked she'd haunt me after death just to play games and watch videos. So this strengthened my resolve. Her funeral was sorrowful. She was surrounded by her favorite flowers, tiger lilies and birds of paradise. One woman after another came to tell me how much my mom had changed their lives. I thought about the people she touched and helped in her life. Though grief overwhelmed me, I was proud of her and proud to be her daughter. After the vigil and memorial ended, I went home, sat on Mom's sofa, and for the first time after the funeral, turned on the phone ringtone. Immediately, a missed text notification popped up. I love you too. I stared at my phone. The day she died, the text I sent her was right above that one, so I knew it wasn't a prank number. At first, I thought it was a joke, but I couldn't think of who would do that. I decided to see it as from a kind friend of Mom's. Maybe Mom had shared the number with a friend. I texted back, "Please don't text me with this number. This was my mom's number. She just passed away." I waited and saw someone typing back. My heart jumped to my throat, waiting for whoever was using my mom's number to reply. "I'm here. Can you come see me?" My heart skipped a beat. I hadn't noticed the first message. I was too scared. 2 periods. I reread the second message. The address was the cemetery with 2 question marks. She must have been buried alive. I called the funeral director, begging him to meet me at the cemetery. He swore she couldn't possibly still be alive. They hadn't done an autopsy, but she was dead. I just begged him through tears, showed him the messages, until he finally agreed to meet me to help figure out what happened. I had personally placed that phone inside my mother's coffin, and then they sealed and buried it. No one but her could have gotten that phone. He knew nothing else could calm me, so he ordered an emergency excavation. The ground had just been filled, so it was easy to dig it out quickly. They opened her coffin. The phone was in her hand, not in the purse where I had placed it with her body. On the screen was an unsent message, a message addressed to me. The next day, they found the first body. Over the past 6 years, the rate of teenage girls disappearing rose slightly, but most cases were thought to be runaways and dismissed. Parents begged police to find their children, but police turned a deaf ear. It turned out the cemetery's caretakers monitored grieving families. They stalked the girls and kidnapped them on their way home. After killing those girls, he buried them under the new graves. Then he placed the coffins on top and covered them, all in plain sight, hiding all evidence of the crimes. After discovering his maps and souvenirs, the police finally gave those 27 families an answer. For me, the most chilling evidence the police found was shown to me reluctantly by a detective, only after my insistence. They were photos from my mother's funeral. In them, my 13-year-old niece was circled. I know you're going to ask me, so I'll just tell you. I did receive another message from my mom, a week after all the media had finally settled down. I began missing my mom again. It's hard to do that when people keep asking you questions and calling you a hero. I know I'm not a hero, but people don't really want to hear my story. They thought I saw this evidence before my mom's burial. I saw this evidence. So when I finally had someone to sit down with, I put on my mom's favorite horror movie and sent her another message. I didn't expect anything special to happen. I just thought it could give me closure. I love you, Mom. I miss you so much. Wherever you are now, I hope you're happy. I put down the phone, wiped away my flowing tears. That movie was just as amazing as the first time she showed me. Wonderful. Feeling those emotions truly helped release my grief. When the message tone rang, I was genuinely startled. I love you too, baby. I'm very happy. The moment I stepped over the threshold onto that unstable wooden floor, I felt my whole body trembling, while my friends just kept laughing there. Come on, it's been abandoned for years, they laughed and joked, rushing into the living area of that old broken house, surrounded by peeling wallpaper, warped floorboards, and furniture from the 1950s, along with old newspaper articles scattered all over the house. It felt like walking into the heart of a tomb. Everything here was slowly fading away, leaving only mementos of those before. And now, it was just a playground for the curious. I took another step inside, but still stayed closer to the loose front door. Though I was cautious, in the end I still hadn't refused the invitation. I came here. Casey, with his fiery red hair, suddenly appeared beside me. I hadn't seen him come in or heard his voice. His sudden presence made me jolt. My heart leaped into my throat. Don't be afraid. Even if real monsters existed, they couldn't hurt you, he whispered, his eyes gleaming with mischief. Casey was so confident and cheerful in nature. I wanted to be like him. The word ghost lingered in the air like the scent of a man. Of course, it didn't exist, but when he mentioned it, the hairs on my arms still stood on end. I laughed nervously. Now, just a gesture could make me tense up. That's when his fingers intertwined with mine. My eyes widened. I looked at him in surprise, but he smiled innocently, then pulled me deeper into the house. The further we explored, the heavier the air felt. I was suffocated by my own fear and the musky scent of vermin. Casey let go of my hand, turning his attention to a hatch in the middle of the floor. "Guys, sisters!" he shouted excitedly. I wanted to turn and run. I could see the exit in my peripheral vision, but somehow my attention turned to that hatch that was slowly opening. Friends. A narrow staircase led down into nothing but darkness. My eyes couldn't make out anything. I swallowed hard. "We should go," I spoke up, but my voice was too timid. Casey continued, "I'll take my phone down, see if I can find something cool." He smiled wickedly, as if mocking my fear. I wanted to keep arguing, but as I swallowed my saliva, he was already halfway down. The others laughed near the entrance. I stood there, watching his small frame swallowed by darkness. At that moment, I saw it. Eyes, right behind him. Golden eyes gleaming in the corner, wandering in the dark. That single ray of light was striking. "Casey!" I screamed. The girls jumped back, shutting the hatch. Only I stumbled closer. "There's something inside!" I shouted, frantically trying to pry the hatch open with my fingers. The others froze. Only this one time, only I had the courage. "Who closed the door?" someone whispered. "He did. But he closed it himself," the others replied in trembling voices. One of them laughed nervously, but to me everything was just noise. All I could hear was my heartbeat. "Come on, make a sound!" I pounded on the cabin door and shouted, but all that came back was silence. Nothing is worse than silence. Even if he screamed, it would at least prove something had happened. But the situation now made me think of the worst. Why didn't the cabin door open? Why was Casey completely silent? I couldn't pull the door open. I slumped down on the ground. My fingers turned red from clutching the wooden door so hard they cracked and bled. Suddenly, the cabin door flew open and bursts of laughter followed. Casey's smile appeared out of the darkness. I opened my eyes wide in shock. He was laughing, or perhaps roaring. "Got you all!" "Sisters." I stared blankly at his face. His words echoed in my head. I blinked. The fear inside me grew stronger. I fell down but quickly got back up. I was already prepared to run. Adrenaline surged violently into my heart. He was holding a little cat with yellow eyes. At that moment, I finally calmed down. I began to smell that musty odor again. My face grew hot. I didn't know if it was from anger, embarrassment, or shame. I truly thought Casey was in danger. Until an hour later, when we got off the bus, I still hadn't said a word, while the others laughed hysterically as if their ribs would break from laughter. But I remained silent, and Casey stayed just as silent as before. The sisters took some old books from that house. Someone even grabbed some trinkets. Casey carried a cat. We sat at the bus stop waiting to transfer to the animal shelter. and browsed through the photos we'd taken in that house. I absent-mindedly looked at the pictures on the screen, still not fully recovered emotionally. One was a photo of the living area. It showed torn curtains, worn-out chairs, and a few girls. I noticed strings of blue light behind them. Each photo looked different, golden and pale yellow intertwining. I raised one eyebrow and leaned closer. "What's that?" I asked while he swiped to another photo. In this one, the light looked like the shape of a person sitting on one of the chairs. It really looked like a person. One of the girls screamed. I grabbed the camera and quickly browsed through the photos. The next one was Casey going down into the basement. The light at the cabin door formed into a hand. I swiped again quickly. The last photo was before the cabin door closed, Casey's figure in the basement. I immediately noticed those yellow eyes, but only now did I see that in another corner of the room, a smile was appearing. I lifted my eyes from the screen to Casey. He looked back at me and the same smile was on his lips. 911, what's your emergency? Hello, I'm on a plane. Hello, ma'am, what did you say? Did you say you're on a plane? Yes, I'm on a plane. I don't know what happened. Okay, calm down, man. What happened? I'm on a plane. A plane, yes. I was supposed to go from Texas to where? At first, everything was fine. We took off. The plane was full. The pilot was speaking, telling us some instructions. Things you should also know. You've flown before, right? Yes, I have. And then what happened? It was night. The flight was going to take hours, so I thought I'd sleep a bit and then... It's okay, ma'am. What happened when you were about to sleep? After that, I fell asleep. But when I woke up on the plane, don't be afraid. What happened when you woke up? There wasn't a single person on the plane. No one? No, not a single person. My son was gone. I don't know where he went. Okay, ma'am, your son will be fine. You said there was no one on the plane. Are you still in the air now? Yes, the plane hasn't landed at all. I woke up and found no one there, okay? Then who's flying the plane? That's another thing I wanted to tell you. The plane, it's not flying. Not flying? It's completely frozen in the air. The plane isn't flying, but it's still suspended in the sky. I'm so scared. I don't know what's happening. I'm really terrified. Don't be afraid. You'll be fine. Now I need you to listen to me and do what I say, okay? Okay. I should be able to. Okay, now stand up. Can you do that? Okay, I'm standing in the aisle now. Good. Now go to the front of the cabin. Find the captain in the cockpit. Can you do that? Yes. Okay, I'm right here with you. I'm going over now. What's your name? My name? I'm Taylor. Okay, Taylor, my name is Enid. I'm at the cockpit door. The captain should be here, but the door is locked. Okay, knock on the door and see if anyone's there. Hello, Captain, are you inside? Enid, I'm fine. Did you hear that voice? There's a voice behind the door. Enid, are you okay? Enid, oh my God. I ran. I'm hiding behind a row of seats. I think there's something else here, with me. Something is with you? I'm so scared. I feel like I'm going to die here. What should I do? You won't, Enid, because it's right there. You were grinding your teeth again last night, my boyfriend said, as he put the coffee on the kitchen table. It was cold this morning. I held the cup with my hands. This is so strange. I didn't know I grind my teeth. How do you know that? It's a kind of clicking sound, like teeth grinding, rattling. He took out cream from the fridge and handed it to me. It even has a bit of rhythm. The reason I said it's teeth grinding is because I don't know how else to describe it. It's like you're biting your teeth together. He opened his mouth, then snapped it shut. Like nails scraping on a chalkboard, it sent chills down my spine. That's so strange. Then I'll have to tape his mouth shut. He reached out and hugged me with one arm. I still love you very much, he said with a wink. He sat down and pulled out his phone to read the news. That was part of our morning routine. It had been like this throughout the past year of living together. I wondered if it had something to do with my retainer. I continued saying, I might need to get it adjusted. Maybe it's been affecting my sleep. Lately my jaw has felt a bit tight. Maybe so. You could call your doctor and ask. An orthodontist, I corrected him. But I haven't been in years. That night, I stared at my teeth before brushing them. I noticed some enamel erosion, and it was worse than most people's. The dentist told me it was because of my excessive bite. But now, I wondered if I had been grinding my teeth since childhood. My boyfriend is a deep sleeper. Even he could hear me grinding my teeth. That meant the sound must be very loud. The thought of me doing it unconsciously made my skin crawl. I stared at the transparent edges of my two front teeth. I had tried teeth whitening, but it felt like the enamel erosion only worsened. I started brushing my teeth, trying not to focus my anxiety on the reflection in the mirror. The next morning, my mouth was clearly sore. My jaw felt like it had been chewing gum for hours. My teeth felt tender to the touch. I told my boyfriend, something feels really wrong. Just opening my mouth to sip coffee made my facial muscles twitch. Baby, you really need to see a doctor. So I called my dentist and asked if they could recommend an orthodontist. The clinic couldn't see me for another 2 days, but I had already made an appointment. They suggested that before then, I should take out my retainer at night. Sometimes retainers can deform over time, the clinic assistant told me. There are many possible causes. Maybe it got knocked, maybe heat exposure, maybe biting too hard on something. It probably just needs some adjustment, but we'd still like to check you properly to make sure there's nothing else wrong. I thanked him. He was right. I realized I hadn't had my retainer adjusted in 10 years. That night, I was shocked to discover my teeth looked different. The enamel erosion was worse than ever. I almost cried. I started looking up mouthguard prices online. They were expensive. I was sick with anxiety. It's not that bad, my boyfriend said, staring at my mouth. Maybe it's just your stress. If you don't wear the retainer, you might feel better in the morning. The next morning when I woke up, I realized there wasn't much pain. I felt relieved. I turned over, but my boyfriend wasn't in bed. That wasn't too unusual, since he was an early riser. Good morning, I called out as I walked to the kitchen, but no one was there. I walked toward the bathroom thinking maybe he had taken out the trash. I froze. I noticed around my mouth a dark red ring. The room reeked of rust. I was horrified to realize what it must be. I felt so full, like I had overeaten, as if I had just finished a feast. My stomach growled. I opened my mouth and gagged. Hair pushed out from between my razor-sharp teeth. I called my dad. When was the last time you saw a dentist? My dad asked over the phone. I don't know, maybe 10 years ago. Damn it, you're supposed to go every 10 years or else it'll just fade away. This is a lesson. And, is there anything left of him? No, I said as I started sobbing. Good, that's good. That's even better. Don't worry, I'll call my people. They've handled emergencies like this before. How long will it take for my teeth to go back to normal? Well, since you've already eaten now, they'll return within 24-48 hours. But just in case, we need to check your retainer again. And make sure you mark your calendar 9 years from today. We don't want this happening again. I coughed up one of my boyfriend's contact lenses, crushed it with my back teeth, and swallowed it again. A few days ago, my twin sister Anna married her fiancé Josie. Anna and I had always been inseparable. She was my best friend. When Anna told me about her engagement, I was thrilled. When she asked me to be her bridesmaid, I was overjoyed. On the day of the wedding, I had a doctor's appointment, so I went straight from the hospital to the church. When I arrived at the church, I met the other bridesmaids and was surprised. They weren't wearing the pink dresses Anna had chosen, but instead long black gowns. At the time, I was still in a shirt and jeans. One of Anna's friends, Lily, rudely asked me, "You are going to change, right?" I said, "Of course. I brought my dress with me." When I came back after changing into the dress, they all looked at me in great surprise. Lily angrily said to me, "What are you doing?" I was very confused. Although I was a bridesmaid, the other bridesmaids completely forbade me from talking to Anna. On the day of Anna's wedding, I couldn't stay by her side. Instead, I had to sit at the very back of the church. Even our mother thought I shouldn't go to the front in that dress. To be honest, I don't really remember how the ceremony went. I was so ashamed that I wore the wrong dress. So I just kept my head down at the back. I only remember that everyone cried a lot. When I arrived at my parents' house for the reception, I walked over to the fridge and took out some beer I had bought earlier. I knew it wasn't very appropriate to take out beer, but it was the beer Anna and I drank together when we were 18. Back then, we even got caught by our parents. They were very angry. But I think looking back now, everyone would find it funny. I'm quite sure Anna would think so too, but when my mom saw me holding a beer, she snatched it away as soon as I showed up, then angrily said I was disrespecting Anna. I said Anna would find this funny. Mom said I had gone too far. I know a wedding is a very serious event, but everyone there was too serious. We should have had more fun. Everyone at the reception acted strangely around me, as if I had done something terribly wrong, something awful. Every time I tried to talk to someone, they would just walk away, leaving me standing there alone. Some people, for some reason, looked at me with disgust and refused to talk to me. The worst part was, Anna kept avoiding me too. She looked very gloomy. It was really strange because she had always looked forward to her wedding. She was walking around, but I didn't see her talk to anyone. Eventually, I decided to confront her. I said I was sorry about the dress, but she hadn't told me it was changed. I didn't even know what I'd done wrong. She didn't answer. She just looked at me with contempt like never before. Then I asked her why she wasn't with Josie. Between the two of them, had something happened that upset her? She told me, I didn't come here for Josie, I came here for you. But I had no idea what that meant. I should mention, a few days before the wedding, Anna didn't want a bachelorette party, but I, and a few friends went out drinking to celebrate. That night I really messed up. They asked me to drive. At first I only had a non-alcoholic cocktail, but others kept drinking more and more. They seemed much happier than me. I thought it would be fine to have 1 or 2 cocktails. The others drank so much they didn't even notice I ordered alcohol. In the end that night, I got more drunk than I thought, and crashed Anna's car. Luckily, nothing too serious happened. Anna only had minor scratches, and I had a really bad concussion. But aside from that, we weren't hurt anywhere else. At first, Anna was furious, but I thought she'd cool down by the wedding. After the incident, my parents were furious too. After the police told them what happened, they cried a lot. I felt like they were very disappointed in me. Josie was there that night too. He cried as well. I think maybe he was upset about my sister getting hurt. Even though the injuries weren't that bad, I still felt very guilty about drunk driving. Maybe that's why everyone was acting so strangely toward me. Maybe Anna was still angry. But I think she should have told me, instead of hiding the dress changes, then lashing out because I didn't know. After the reception, I went to bed. Then the worst happened. Anna came into my room just as I'd fallen asleep. She was still in her wedding dress, the white fabric glowing in my dark room. Her dress had dark stains on it. It looked like she spilled red wine on it. I thought she must have been drunk, because she started saying I had ruined everything, that it was all my fault, and that she would make me regret it for the rest of my life. Her face twisted with rage. She looked almost inhuman. I was terrified. Her voice sounded strangely hoarse. I started crying. I asked her what she meant. She let out a supernatural scream, then lunged at me. She raised her hand as if to hit me. I instinctively closed my eyes, but she must have missed, because all I felt was a blast of cold air on my face. When I opened my eyes again, she was gone. That night I woke up several times, each time hearing her heartbroken sobs. The next night she suddenly appeared by my bed, just standing there wailing. When I tried talking to her, she didn't respond. Eventually, I somehow fell asleep again. I don't remember her leaving, just that she suddenly vanished. Since then, she has come to my room every night, always wearing that soiled wedding dress. I don't know why she keeps tormenting me like this. I've always wanted to talk to her during the day, but she always leaves before I get up. She only comes at night to scold me, crying that she'll never let me have a good life. I told my parents about what she did, but they refused to talk to her and said it was all in my imagination. They told me I had to understand that Anna was no longer here. I said I knew. She's now living with Josie in an apartment, but every night she still comes to our house. I really feel helpless. Why won't they believe me? Tonight I don't want to sleep. I'm getting more and more afraid of Anna.